So in total we have 9 speakers and the session is divided in 3 parts. We also have a very impressive audience.
We believe among PDBs that water is a cross-cutting issue, critical to many SDGs.
To bridge the massive financing gap, we need, as Gilles was saying, increases in public investment and expanded utilization of private finance.
Of course, achieving SDG 6, as we have already heard, will require a historic scaling up of financing for water-related investment.
With concrete examples of mobilization of finance, of actually working in that upstream side of governance as well.
We also believe that climate change presents enormous challenges and opportunity for resilient development, making it essential that climate change and development needs to be tackled in an integrated and effective way. We also believe in scaling up effective climate finance in operation for adaptation, resilience, through improving structuring of projects, unleashing innovation, and unlocking private investment.
Mexico demands to strengthen the technical capabilities and financial position of the water public utilities, ensuring that they have the resources necessary to meet the investment challenges of sustainable growth.
A significant proportion took place in Africa, Caribbean and Pacific region, what we call ACP states, and the Mediterranean countries.
To meet the SDGs, development banks and other financial institutions will need to increase resources allocated to the sector, but we need to help invest these resources much more efficiently.
We need to be able to develop innovative financing mechanisms that be effective in channeling non-traditional sources of funds.
And we know that government financing, we know that development aid financing are not at scale to reach these objectives. So we know that we have to mobilize all sorts of financing, whether public or private,
in order to play a role in improving the water.
So what we did for many years is that
I think the cooperation.
All the activities are being screened.
It was not an easy subject.
And like I said, we're collaborating with...
And we're going to hear about what is being funded, what instruments are being used, and actually what are the main challenges and opportunities moving forward.
Thank you, Katarina. Thank you also to the webinar organizer to give me the opportunity to share with you the experience of Morocco. I'm really glad to be here with you. So first, let me just introduce my institution, CDG, which stands for Caisse de Dépôt Gestion. CDG is a Moroccan public financial institution established in 1959, and it has a dual mission. One is collecting, securing long-term saving, and channel them to projects that are important for the development, for the sustainable development of our country. So sustainable development is something which is really rooted in our DNA. So we at CDG, we believe with regard to the climate finance that we need to do whatever it takes, in fact, to finance resilience development and the fight against climate change. We also believe that climate change presents enormous challenges and opportunity for resilient development, making it essential that climate change and development needs to be tackled in an integrated and effective way. We also believe in scaling up effective climate finance in operation for adaptation, resilience, through improving structuring of projects, I will come back to this, unleashing innovation, and unlocking private investment, and I will come back to this later on. Last, we do also believe in risk sharing, in co-financing, in co-investment for the common good and benefits. So just to give you an idea of the situation of the water in Morocco, as you know, Morocco is a water scarce country, so it is confronted with dwindling groundwater reserve and a strong dependence on rain-fed agriculture. Agriculture is a sector which represents almost 19% of the GDP of Morocco, but it represents more than 40% of employment if you take the agriculture or related to agriculture. The World Resources Institute, according to their study, Morocco is ranked as the 22nd most water-stressed country in the world, owing this to combination of scarcity of water, climate change, socio-economic development, urbanization, and population growth. Due to climate change, rainfall in Morocco is predicted to decline by as much as 50% by the year of 2050, increasing the risk of drought. So it's a real issue in Morocco, water management and water financing. The government was working in this area, in this field, since the last 20-25 years. The last draft that was prepared by the government, the National Water Plan 2020 to 2050, envisaged the spending of $40 billion on dams, the connection of water basins, the desalination of seawater, the integration of all rural centers into structuring drinking water supply system. So it's something which is serious, and it's something which needs a lot of money to be able to tackle the various issues. So there has been a lot of investment with regard to climate finance in Morocco. And we try to assess, in fact, the size of this investment and the share that were allocated so far to adaptation or to water. So we, roughly for the period of 2011 to 2018, we tried to define what we call the Moroccan climate finance panorama to understand exactly what's going on. And in fact, we realized that during this period, 10 billion euros were collected and toward investment for climate finance. But only 24% were allocated to adaptation project, out of which 20% to agriculture and only 4% to water management. As you can also expect, the gap is huge with regard to need. So when you look at just through the angle of the NDC investment need for the period 2016 to 2020, we were talking about 6.5 billion euro per year. So if you compare this to the total amount of 10 billion for 8 years, it shows you the gap. So if you want, in fact, to have a better view on what's going on in Morocco with regard to water, we had various projects that were financed 100% by the government, but we saw also projects that were financed by international development banks, project financed by AFD, our friend AFD, and GCF, funded also by EBRD, and also by us. So as a national development bank, we developed the first PPP in the desalination sector in Morocco. We, with this project, which is a mutualized desalination plant project, which cost, in fact, around $400 million, was put together to serve both the irrigation needs of the farmer, of around 3,000 farmers that benefit from it, and the water need for the population, and we estimate 1.2 million water users. CDG, through CDG Capital, we played a key role, in fact, throughout the process of structuring the project, the development and the execution of this Agadir desalination project. We, together with the private operator, and in this case is Abengoa, we worked together to respond to the call of tenders and to develop the project, which notably involved an appropriate risk allocation. And this is something which was key, because we have to deal with different type of risk related to this project. And you all know, for different phases, we have political and regulatory risk, we have macroeconomic and business risk, and we have technical risk. So we had to play with all type of engineering, not only financial engineering, but also economic engineering and also technical engineering through our subsidiary and other type of service provider. So we had, in the beginning, we set up, in fact, an equity fund where CDG invested its own money and attracted local institutional investor into this equity fund. Second, after restructuring the project, we had at the financial closing in 2018, we took part with other commercial banking in the consortium, which provide, in fact, the necessary debt financing for this project. So it's clear that for this project where we were talking about the objective, sorry, about the SDG number 6, but we had through this project, in fact, had an impact not only on the number 6, but also the number 13, the number 8, and the number 17, which is the partnership, which is something key to be able to make this happen. I think just a conclusion for this type of sector, which is important into the adaptation. Adaptation is key for emerging country. So it is closely linked to the development, and resilience is something which is important. And now with the COVID-19, we saw that the resilience supersedes the performance. So we have to be resilient, and we have to integrate, as I mentioned in the beginning, the development with the climate finance. And we can make it. It is something difficult with regard to other projects that are easy, that are vanilla, as we say in our financial sector. It is something which is complex, but it's doable. We can make it happen if we are able to gather different type of investor having different risk appetite, and to at the end close something which is concrete. And this type of example, we aim at duplicating it to other type of desalination project in Morocco. Thank you.
In your opinion, how can synergies with these other subsectors or these other policies agenda could help to close the water financing gap?
The subject of taxonomy is it's equivalent to the subject of language. In fact, we have different type of taxonomies. Mention the taxonomies of I think by the European Union, EIB. Do you have also taxonomy from Japan, from China, from Netherlands? So I think sometimes we are lost. And during the COP22, I recall, as I was member of the scientific committee when it was organized in Morocco, the subject of adaptation was key, and we had to define exactly what we mean by adaptation. And it was not an easy subject, plus the fact that how to measure, so the metrics that you put. It is difficult, but I think we can progress in this subject. We should avoid, as far as I'm concerned, kind of perfection in the taxonomy and the metrics, because we have in this area some urgency and project that we need, in fact, to get them finance and to progress. So I think I don't know how we say it, but we say that sometimes le mieux est l'ennemi du bien. So we have sometimes to satisfy with something which, even if it's not perfect, but there is clear path and in fact in getting things done. I just want to say 2 words, if you allow me, Katarina. So we mentioned that for adaptation we have a subject of bankable project. We have a subject of how we can do things fast. we cannot avoid for this subject what I call complexity, i.e. having different type of actors, different type of stakeholders being involved. And we have to learn to deal with it, because I believe it's the best way to move forward. I think we have an African saying who says, for example, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. But I think we all aim, in fact, at going far and fast. And with the coalition that was being set up, we hope to succeed in doing things together with different type of objective for each member. And we are member of IFDFC since 2011, and I think we learn by interacting with other type of international, regional development bank. And also we have, for this type of issue and subject, is also we have to be hybrid, in the sense that yes, we are a national development bank, but we have to bear in mind that we need to understand how private investors work, what they need, what's their concern, to be able to structure initially the project, taking into account their need. And we cannot wait all together, waiting for a project to be ready to become bankable by chance. We have to really bring some skills, new skills, in order to be able to deal with this complexity and end up structuring something that is sustainable. And the last point is climate finance. I think it's something which is important, but to make it sustainable, it has to be rooted in the local market. You have to have local development bank, commercial bank, local investors involved in financing this type of project. And this is key for the future. Thank you.